Hello, everyone. For this week, we read Unit 3 and 4 from Ada and Kampoy. Unit 3 was definitely about identity. It was about ensuring that, or educating us on the importance of a name. We need to learn how to pronounce our students' names, and it is very important that we call our students by their name or by the name that they prefer because it is special to them. Their names were given to them by their parents. It has historical meaning, and a lot of our children try to live up to the meanings of their names. So definitely important to ensure we call them by their names. The story that we read on page 117 was also very uplifting for me. It was about Mariposa, and she had freckles. She was constantly teased about her freckles, and she even at one point tried to remove them and hurt herself. So it wasn't until her grandma told her that the freckles were kisses from angels that she actually started to be more relaxed and happy with herself. It is a story that I really found uplifting, and I will definitely be using in the future whenever necessary. I also agree that the school is the realest sense of community. We learned that in Unit 4. Um, or students spend a lot of time at school. They learn from their peers and they learn with their peers. So they spend a lot of time with each other. We want to ensure that they're comfortable. That way they can have a good experience at school. I also learned on page 130 that the ABCs aren't just for students or kids, they're also for adults. There was a lovely poem in there where a mom wrote about uh, becoming a mom to her son and bringing him into her life. I think that poem was very informative for me. I'm definitely going to try it at some point. um, for the Tabor's book, chapter 4, we read about our second language learners. It educated us that children that are second language learners go through different phases. At first, they enter a phase of data gathering about the new language before they actually try to use it. So after this nonverbal period, the period where they're gathering the data about the language, then when they feel comfortable enough, they actually try to start speaking. And this nonverbal period can sometimes be lengthy. We also learned that in Tabors, we also learned that the language developmental sequence, it has 4 stages. The first stage is the home language use. So the students at first they use their home language, and then we have the nonverbal period where they're just gathering information, trying to process it as best as possible. And then the third is the telegraphic or formulaic use. In this period of telegraphic or formulaic In the telegraphic period or telegraphic speech, it refers to the use of one or a few words as an entire sentence. So the students will say one word. They'll say, for example, car, and then the teacher has to add the extra vocabulary by saying, for example, a racing car or a red car. And then the children repeat that, and that helps to build their vocabulary. In the formulaic speech, the children used unanalyzed chunks or phrases in situations in which others have been observed to use. So they'll say a phrase because they've heard it before, and then that helps them as well to communicate their ideas with minimum use of language. Words like okay, uh-huh, stop, that gives information to their partners or to their playmates that they wouldn't be able to give had they been in silence. So definitely that's bridge or that second phase for them. The the fourth phase is going to be the productive use. Within this phase, the children actually say their own sentences. So they create their own sentences Sometimes they create it incorrectly, but they still try um, before they're able to speak properly. So in each phase, we see or we read that the children need support. They need the teacher to add vocabulary for them. And what I have learned is to just ensure that you're patient with our second language learners because it's definitely a process for them in, listening, gathering all of that information, trying to use it for themselves and try to use it correctly. So definitely enjoy the readings for this week. I learned a lot and I'm looking forward to the other readings. Good evening, everyone.